These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Time for some statements and questions here on Minnesota sports with Mackey and Judd. But let's start. This is a great week for basketball viewing here, and MyBookie is here to help enhance the fun.
They are indeed. In fact, they are putting $100,000 on the line now. March Madness, right? It's a great time. If you think that you can build that perfect bracket, take your shot at MyBookie's $100,000 bracket contest and prove it. Bracket gets busted. Oh no, what am I going to do? MyBookie's deposit bonus. Make sure that you're covered for the full tournament. Single game matchups, that is where the cash is made. How about this? Player props or player props not fun? Sign up now with promo code Minnesota Sports and claim your deposit bonus to make the most of March Madness. Just go to mybookie.website/Minnesota Sports. Bet on every game anytime from anywhere. Enhance your enjoyment of the tournament, which of course starts in full really on Thursday. Again, that website, mybookie.website/Minnesota Sports, and have a great time and get a little sweat on watching the tournament.
That's right. All right. Let me start you guys off with this statement here. Just watching that mind-numbing Wolves loss to the depleted Pacers last night. We did bake in our path to 50 wins going back now 3 weeks. We did bake a few we baked a Pacers loss in there. I don't think we thought it was going to be to that version of the Pacers. But my first statement is, and it's actually kind of a rhetorical question. When will the mindless, pointless losses end for these Timberwolves? It is ridiculous how many times this season they've played a team of backups, an actively tanking team, or some combination of both, and have lost. And I'm just off the top of my head here, the two Portland games early in the year before they clicked it into gear, and you got Portland at their lowest basically, and you lose the back-to-back there. The Wizards loss, the Bucks game without Lillard and Giannis, and that was a game at Target Center, I'm pretty sure.
The Jazz loss. The
Jazz lost because Anthony Edwards can't control his technical tempers.
Yep.
So that's 5 right there.
Yep.
And then there was the loss to the Pacers last night where they decide, even though they had the night's rest and the Wolves are playing a back-to-back, they decide, let's do a little load management for Halliburton, Siakam, Miles Turner. I think there was a fourth guy out too. So that's 6. That's 6 right there without even digging any further. And if you just flip those 6 games, the Timberwolves would be 46-24 on the season right now, which would put them in the Western Conference 46-24, a game and a half up on Houston, solidly in the 2 seed. How would we be talking about this team? I mean, the narrative about this team would be they would be the 2 seed by a game and a half, and they have the 1 seed's number all season, Oklahoma City. Can the Wolves potentially get to the NBA Finals? Would legitimately be the conversation the entire country is having. If you could just beat the Blazers, the Wizards, the Jazz, the Pacers without any of their key players. And of course, Obi Toppin decides, a guy who shoots like 33% from beyond the arc, decides to hit a career high 7 threes last night. He's banking shots in. He's flying out of bounds with 3 seconds to go, just pouring in a 3.
Get it out. Come on, Phil. Get it out.
The dumbest loss of the season, and it's just another in a long line of losses. And I still think this team can go to the Western Conference Finals. They are that talented.
And in the micro, finally, the Warriors lose a basketball game. Aaron Gordon destroys the Warriors yesterday. They'd be a full game up. They'd be in the 6th seed if they had won yesterday. They won 8 games in a row, and I don't think they moved from the 7th seed. So they finally lose to a bad team, and they're still stuck here. Now, Golden State's, I think, going to play tonight, so they could still be just a half game up. But my God, a brilliant opportunity to move out of the play-in situation. And yes, they could be even the 2 seed, but bad loss.
Purge.
Be angry with us. Be angry with us.
Purge, Phil. No, I want my buddy to purge. He's very upset.
And another thing, and Kyle and I are going to do a flagrant house layer today too, so you'll get more of this, I'm sure. But yeah, the first half of these, it's so predictable sometimes that they're playing a team that sits a bunch of players, or it's a back-to-back, and some of this is just the natural ebbs and flows of an NBA season where, all right, you're kind of sleepwalking through the first half. The fact that you're down by 15 points to that team, though, in the first half is ridiculous. And then you snap it into gear, but by that point, they believe they can win, and Obi Toppin believes he's going to score 40 points. So it's very self-inflicted in some ways. Anthony Edwards, in some ways, was the reason why they almost won, because he hit all these free throws and he was aggressive getting to the rack. On the other hand, he dribbles a ball almost out of bounds with a chance to win the game at the end of regulation. He loses his handle. They had it all set up for a wide open Jaden McDaniels mid-range shot or drive to the lane, and it loses the handle and puts up another clunker. He's like 2 for 23 on game-winning shots. So mind-numbing last night. Mind-numbing.
All right, I'll go next.
There we go. Yeah,
The Wild trade deadline is a disaster, and they didn't do much, okay? They traded a second-round pick in 2026 for Gustav Nyquist of Nashville. He was here a few years ago, actually played well, acquired at the deadline. He was hurt at the time, but played like the last 3 games of the regular season, played well in the playoffs. Well, nobody checked to find out if good old Gus Nyquist was cooked, but I can confirm after setting my peepers on him for about 8 games now, dude is cooked. 1 assist. Literally, I don't know what he's doing, but it's not productive. It's certainly not hockey. Like, you could have taken a 2026 second-round pick, stuck it in the toilet, flushed it down the drain, and gotten a better return than what they are getting right now. That's trade 1. Bad enough. 1 assist in 8 games. But it gets worse. You also traded Marat Hustadinov, who was curiously considered a bust very quickly after playing on the 4th line with guys that got hands for stone, to Boston. He has scored 2 goals. And you traded Jakub Lauko, who you wanted to trade off. Okay, that's fine. But you also sent a draft pick. So you traded 3 things to Boston for a guy by the name of Justin Brazeau, who I can confirm that his hands are mallets. His hands they're not, he doesn't have hands. He has mallets attached to his wrists. And he and Yakov Trenin, I've never seen 2 guys around the net more who literally cannot do anything with the puck. But Brazeau, I have no idea what the thinking is. He's 6'6". Well, that's great. He had 10 goals in Boston. It's a miracle. I don't know how, but the deadline moves, and they weren't much, are a complete waste of time. These 2 guys are giving you nothing, and the Trenin signing in the summer is a whole nother 4-year story. He is their Ricky Nolasco. Hey, I found some extra money in the couch cushions. Might as well spend it. Just a disaster.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a couple dumb hockey questions here. So, they're gonna get in. They're gonna get in as one of the last couple seeds, right, in the Western Conference.
Yeah, they'll probably get in as wild card 1 or 2.
Yep, they're gonna get in.
I think so.
But it feels like the season went off the rails with the Kaprizov injury, and either the team underestimated how long he was going to be out, or because they wanted to salvage such a great start to the season. I mean, they were one of the hottest teams in the league for the first 2 months. That they overreached on some of these deadline deals to try and salvage something that was not salvageable once one of the best players in the league goes down with a long-term injury, right?
Yes.
And it's too hard to stomach. Oh, man, we got off to this great start, and now we have to just, punt the season. We can't punt the season, so we should do something.
But the incredible thing is there are people that believe that the Wild should have done more at the deadline, and I think there's a fighting chance Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek are done. Not coming back this season. I think they didn't do more because they know that. They either were dishonest about Kaprizov, which at first I don't think that they were. I think they really didn't know. But now, he had surgery, and I think it was a hernia or groin. Just a guess, but it makes some sense.
Is that technically lower body? Or
yes.
Okay.
That's lower body. That's lower body.
Because I had a hernia surgery that was just below my belly button.
Well, they don't
back in college, and
they
it's
don't
above the waistline. So
yeah, the important thing to keep in mind is there is no what you're talking about mid-body classification, because it's really mid, like you should say mid, but they say, but it's by technicality lower. But I think that there is a chance that Kaprizov and Ek, who I believe has a broken leg, are not coming back. And if they don't come back, any moves made no sense. And the moves that they did make, here's the problem. The moves they did make less sense because they are completely useless. And yes, sports
Judd needs a couple
of beers. Couple of beers. Please help me understand what you were doing. Justin Brezzo has mallets for hands, and Gus Nyquist belongs in a nursing home.
Okay, can I just ask, is there any possibility, because we know hockey can be random, especially come playoff time, and he's having a great year, is there any possibility that Philip Gustafsson carries them and they actually get past the first round? Is there any chance?
No, because they have to work so hard. Like last night,
they can't score goals.
I'm not joking. By the end of that game, I was exhausted watching it.
Well, yeah, you needed a couple of beers.
I needed a couple of beers and some oxygen. They cannot score goals. I would say this right now. If I was to bet, I would bet that the Minnesota United has a better chance per game of scoring goals than the Wild does.
I mean, yeah, we'll have to see who has more goals at the end. The Wild play more games, so
right. But I'm just saying, like on an arbitrary, if both teams are playing on a Saturday, which soccer does, I might take the United to score more goals. Why
do they have the best road record in the entire NHL? That's a testament to them. But what's wrong with Wild fans? Why can't we encourage our team more at home?
Well, don't get me started. This building's become so soft. The amount of opposing fans now in that building, it's incredible. And I'm not absolving them. They've been crap at home. 7-game homestand, 2-2-1 right now. They've actually beaten 2 good teams, and they've lost to worse teams. But my God, that building now is just infiltrated by Red Wings fans. You take your pick. Avalanche fans, Ranger fans. It's an easy place to play. I'd like to get my road games there.
Boy, this is turning into a therapy gripe session here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'll continue down the therapy and frustration route. My statement would be, I understand your frustration, Minnesota Twins fans. I completely understand why you just get completely checked out of this team and don't buy into some of their star players because they get hurt in the most mysterious and the most absurd ways. Royce Lewis will miss opening day. We'll see how long he is out. I saw his quotes on Tuesday morning on the Star Tribune. He is obviously very emotional and pretty upset at himself because he is preparing and trying to do everything he possibly can to stay on the field. And I love covering the Twins. I'm jacked to do this again. It was a lot of fun for me. I understand, though, when I see these comments and when I see tweets and when I see stuff saying, why should I even buy into this team if everyone's eventually going to get hurt or they're just not as good as you think they are? This type of stuff, I get it. It stinks. It absolutely stinks that they'll be without Royce Lewis to start the year. We'll see how long he is out, but a hamstring strain, I wouldn't be just saying he's going to miss the opening series. He's probably going to be out for a few weeks.
He's quickly entering Byron Buxton territory in terms of the first now 3, maybe 4 years of his career have been completely derailed by injuries. And Byron Buxton's now a 10-year Major League vet, and all but 1 year has been derailed by injuries. There was the 1 year he played like 140 games early in his career, like the 3rd year of his career. And every other year has been derailed. I mean, Royce Lewis is on the same track right now. Super talented. When they're in the lineup, they can impact any game, anytime. But this is wild. The quad last year, the hamstring now, like
same type of things too, right? Same type of things: quads, hamstrings, muscles,
soft tissues.
Soft tissues, yeah. I will say this:
SAWFT, soft.
I will say from having looked at the comments while Dex and I did a twin show on Monday, Phil, the venom towards, at least in that small sample size, the comments for the live show, the venom is mighty.
Is it toward Royce or the Twins, or?
It's just a frustration, I think.
Yeah,
like Dex said, I think it's just people are frustrated. They're like, there's just so many things about this team. And if they were horse bleep totally, I'd get a little bit, but they don't necessarily have to be. but people are just, I would say it's a massive skepticism about everything involving this team.
The Royce injuries, though, it's hard to know who or what to be mad at, because there is a certain percentage of just injury luck that's baked into being a sports fan and running a sports front office. So I think maybe if you're going through like the 12 stages of Royce Lewis injury grief every time this happens, your first instinct is, so I'll just be straight up honest. My first instinct was, why is he not doing more to work on his body or whatever it may be, just become more limber? And like, how is this not something that he can have more control over? And then I realized, well, I don't know, maybe he's pouring in, I'm sure, a bunch of time and resources in the offseason. He knows this is a problem. He wants to be on the field. Just like Byron Buxton for years and years, the same thing. Is it just bad luck? So I've moved into like I don't know why it keeps happening or what keeps happening. And I don't know who to be mad at, but I'm mad. I'm mad at the Twins. I'm mad at the baseball gods. But it's hard with injuries. You don't know who to be mad at. Like when Joe Mauer had the bilateral leg weakness BS that they kind of just made up out of thin air, you could at least be mad that they were trying to cover something up or not telling the truth about his knees or his back or whatever it may be, right? In this case, I don't know. I guess it's just bad luck, and you have to eat it if you're a fan.
It's frustrating, and I do respect his quotes, and I do know he pours all this resources and time into it. I do think it's more of just bad luck than it is bad preparation. I think fans like to think, "I'll just fire the training staff." Like, well, they've overhauled a training staff before. They've done that. It's not just a bad training staff. The whole thing is incredibly frustrating. I get where Minnesota sports fans are just completely checked out of the team. I understand. I get it.
But in Royce's case, he just has to be more prone to this, right? Like, because bad luck is you do it a couple of times. It's continual, so it feels like the rubber bands don't work well.
Yeah, they are. It's like when you reach into your drawer and there's a 12-year-old stale, crusty rubber band, and it just pulls apart.
Yeah, exactly. You know? It just feels like that.
Yeah. So, all right, I got another for you. Less of a gripe here. It's actually more of a praise. I have not watched a lick of college basketball this year. I've caught pieces of some Gopher games when, that looks like the Gophers have a chance to win a game here. But I don't know that I've watched like a full college basketball game all year. Sure. Despite that, I am so excited for this year's NCAA tournament. It's so wide open. You've got some great storylines all up and down the bracket, including from a local standpoint. Richard Pitino is on fire this year. Where are they at, by the way? That's New Mexico, right? Yeah. Or is he New Mexico? It's New Mexico, not New Mexico State. Yep. So they're a 10 seed playing Marquette. You got Tom Izzo back in the mix. You got some big time coaches as a 2 seed there. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm ready to just absolutely butcher my bracket and sit down and watch 50 more college basketball games than I've watched in the last 5 years. I'm very oddly excited for March Madness this weekend.
It, to me, is the biggest discrepancy because for years now, college basketball, I don't really watch it, right? But the tournament comes, and I'm like, I'm all in. Yep. And in my opinion, there's nothing better than the Thursday and Friday. I love it. But here's a question. Because the Gophers, it looks like it's just going to take time now, and who knows, right? But a year from now, and this is plausible, if St. Thomas makes it, how does because that's basically long-term Marquette, Creighton, right?
That would be the goal, yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is I could see becoming a fan even more because they're fun. They're a fun team. I sort of like that small school thing. I don't know why.
Agreed.
But I could see myself next season when the Tommies are eligible becoming far more of a college basketball guy again because it just seems like fun. Like the Gophers, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, I'm curious. Well, who's repping that conference, by the way? I'm asking you guys a question. Summit. There's no way you have any idea.
It's the Summit, right?
But they would wind it if St. Thomas got in, they'd either be like a 16 seed play-in or like a 15 seed probably.
Sure.
So it wind up being like for instance, I was watching for the first half on Saturday. It was Bryant against some other school, Maine. It was Bryant against Maine, and it looked like a junior high gym. You know, they had a bunch of like sponsor posters on the wall, and there was maybe 500 fans in there. Probably no air conditioning, just sweating. And nobody could make a shot. It was the clunkiest basketball. But Bryant winds up winning the game. And then they now have to play Michigan State in the first round. So to be able to watch St. Thomas, and they have great resources, and they're getting a new arena at some point. But to watch St. Thomas, who was Division III 4 years ago, right? Get to the tournament hopefully next year and have to play like Duke would be a wild experience. And I think that would hook you in and make you more, because the Gophers have just been underachieving and just stumbling all over themselves. It'll be fun to root for an underdog Division I team in this town. 100%.
I know we drafted like best days on the sports calendar year on Purple Daily a few weeks ago. I think, Phil, you were out for that one. But in terms of day one March Madness, like it is one of it's appointment viewing, man. It's so much fun to watch these crazy upsets take place. I love Madness. Did you guys also see, I don't know who was on with Big Cat on Barstool the other day, but they asked him, if you took 30 of the best NBA players and you plucked one of them, just put who's the 30th best player in the NBA, and you put him on a 16 seed, would they be able to carry that 16 seed to a national championship?
Okay, I'll give you that's a great talker. Yeah. Let me give you that example. Julius Randle is about the 30th best player in the league, right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's probably between like 20 on a good night, he's like 25, on a bad stretch maybe 40th. So if you put Julius Randle on Robert Morris and said, all right, it's Julius Randle and 4 other guys against Alabama, the 2 seed in the first round, what would happen? That would never happen, obviously, for a million reasons, but wouldn't that be wildly entertaining TV?
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
It was actually I found it. It was actually from last year. It was Alex Caruso was on with them, and they asked him how many players, and I think Big Cat threw out I think it's 10, and Alex I think it's like 30 or 40 players that could definitely go on like one of the worst seeds and carry them to a national championship.
Oh, okay.
So Norfolk State is the 16 playing Florida.
Yeah.
If you put Nikola Jokic on Norfolk State, would they win the Natty?
Okay, so here's just from the Ringers updated player rankings, 30 through 35 right now. Trae Young, Jamal Murray's 31, Pablo Banchero is 32, Tyrese Maxey 33, Bam Adebayo 34, and then James Harden 35.
I think a really skilled bigger guy would be like Banchero, for instance. You bring anyone who's like 6'9" or taller and super skilled would be an impossible matchup for anyone. If it was like Tyrese Maxey would go off, but I feel like you could still contain him a little bit more. You could be trapping him and doing some things to get the ball out of his hand. I don't know that you'd be able to stop a supremely talented Banchero, a Julius Randle. Hell, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is kind of in this range, right?
Yeah,
like a top 20 player.
They'd be brutal.
Now Karl might foul out with only getting 5
Julius,
fouls.
though,
It's a foul! It's a foul!
Julius Julius would be a big problem.
He'd collect quite a few fouls too. That'd be
no, but I'm saying his game.
Yeah.
His game, if he played for a 16 seed, is multi-dimensional enough that I don't know that you could stop him. I don't know a college team could stop him.
So what about like teams that are out of the tournament? The Gophers, for instance, were bounced very quickly in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. If you put Anthony Edwards on that Gophers team, and so it was the skilled big man that's making $500,000 in, can't remember his name. They're the best player on the Gophers, and then Anthony
Dawson
Edwards,
Garcia?
Dawson Garcia.
Okay,
it'd be Dawson Garcia and Anthony Edwards, and then whoever else wants to clear out of the way. Would the Gophers win the national championship?
Ant would have, the only way that they would lose a game is if Ant had a terrible shooting game himself and just missed.
He'd have to commit to getting to the rack on a regular basis.
The fun one name that Dex brought up is Harden to me. because Harden could actually lose the game through his shooting. But if he's hot,
yeah,
they win a national title.
He would take he'd take 35 step backs from closer range though. From closer range.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if they called travels, he might be screwed in college. God, that's a great talker, Dex. I love that.
It is a reminder. My bookie is supporting some SKOR North pods this week and supporting your efforts to make basketball week more fun here.
Yep, that's because as we just talked about, March Madness is back, and my bookie is putting, as I said before, folks, $100,000 on the line. If you think that you can build the perfect bracket, and right now we all think that, right? Take your shot at my bookie's $100,000 bracket contest and prove that. If your bracket gets busted, do not despair, do not cry, do not pass go, because my bookie's deposit bonus makes sure you're covered for the entire tournament. Single game matchup, player props, you pick it. You already love the tournament, right? This makes it even more fun. Sign up now with the promo code Minnesota Sports and claim your deposit bonus to make the most of this time of year and March Madness. Go to mybookie.website/Minnesota Sports, mybookie.website/Minnesota Sports, and enjoy the tournament even more by getting a little bit of a sweat on it.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great week for legit pizza too, man. You flip on, I know that the platform I use is going to have a quad box available for all of the games happening, and then I'm just going to fire up that pizza oven probably multiple times with some legit pizza. That stone-baked, cracker-thin crust, zesty, robust tomato sauce. How many more adjectives can I use to describe the deliciousness of this pizza? Find legit pizzas at a store near you in that frozen section. This would be the 1 seed of frozen pizzas, folks. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My wife, we were going to go buy some frozen pizzas the other day. I said, hey, can you go pick up some frozen pizzas? I'll just I won't name the store. But she was like, do they have the Peps at that store? And I said, they actually don't. She goes, then you're going to have to go find the Peps Legit Pizza, because I'm not picking up another one that's not Peps Legit Pizza. So it is a big hit in our house, too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Dex, why don't you give us one more statement or question for the road here?
Yeah, I have more of a statement. So I saw the great Mary J. Blige on Sunday, Queen of Hip Hop. I mean, awesome. She hasn't been to Minnesota, too, in like 12 years, I was seeing. Neo performed, who like guilty pleasure. Dex, like Neo is in the top 5 to 10 of guilty pleasures songs, and I love Neo, so I've never seen him live too. So it was awesome. Even Mario. So like it was just a great early 2000s hip hop and R&B collection that I still listen to this day, because I don't listen to new music. I just listen to the same music from the 2000s.
I saw, was it a Wolves game? There was a game over the weekend, and I swear, like a basketball game, and I swear to God, it was Fabulous. Fabulous, the early 2000s, you know?
Yeah.
That he was at. I think it's a guy, right? I thought it was a group, but it's just a guy. Yeah.
But my statement is, we need better pacing at big time shows. Like Mario took the stage at 7. He's the first of the opener, so he's on stage for 30 minutes. He plays his 6 songs that everyone basically knows, and gets off the stage. Neo comes out there, goes like an hour and 10 minutes. It's great. He has a bunch of catalog of hits. He's also like a producer that has been the collaborator on so many songs like you don't really think Neo sang on. And then Mary J takes the stage at like 9:30. So this show started at 7.
It's aggressive.
Mary's taken the stage at 9:30, and there was, I counted them, 4 breaks in the middle of her sets that were like 5 to 10 minutes long, where she was just gone. She was doing an outfit change. There was one point.
What's happened? There's just like a beat playing in the background for 5 minutes or something?
I mean, she's got an incredible dance team and like some backup singers that do stuff. But at one point, the weirdest one, I thought the show was over. And I could tell the crowd was also like, what's happening right now? The DJ, like that was spinning tracks between acts, came up from out of the stage and like just started spinning tracks. And I'm like, is the set over? Like, we have definitely missed out on like 4 to 5 very prominent Mary J songs. I don't think this is over. By the time I got out of there, it was like 11:30. So it was like a 2-hour show. And she's the queen. I love her, but we'll tighten it up just a little bit. Just tighten it up just a little bit.
It sounds like an old man take, in which you are now over 30, but I'm with you on this. Also, the half-hour break usually between so it's like if it starts at 7 and let's say there's 3 acts, it's 7 to 7:30. And then there's a half-hour break, and then it's 8 until like 9-ish, and then there's another half-hour break. Do we need the half-hour break? And I know
No.
that the arena would say, yeah, because we want people to buy a bajillion tall boy Trulies or whatever, they're slinging, or Black Stacks or Podrigs or whatever. But yeah, I love concerts, but then when I'm at the concert, I feel like 50% of the time I'm enjoying it, but I'm also kind of looking at my watch like, let's play 3 more hit songs, or maybe even leave. We've left some concerts early just because, you know what, we're good. We got our money's worth, and we don't want to be here till 11:45 and wait for traffic.
If it's a throwback show, so like, is she still producing new?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Music. Okay.
Yeah, but this show was called her For My Fans tour, so like it was more like the grand catalog of the Mary J stuff.
I feel like if you're gonna get 3 acts like that they also should only then if that's the premise of the tour, I feel like they should just play their hits and the songs that and just do your own private shows for your new tunes. Like,
wait, what do you mean private shows?
Well, like just a smaller show, not 3 acts, not like, hey, welcome back to 2002 show. Like if Mary J. Blige wants to do a show and I got some new things, then that should just be her show, opening act, but who cares about that? But if you're like, hey, you know what? Come see the catalog. We're gonna relive the great old days. And it's like, I just wrote this tune last night. I'd like to play it for you. No, that's not what these people want.
But you know what? But even during like the prime of their run, there's artists that will come out with a couple big time albums. Like, let me use one of my favorite guilty pleasure bands of all time, Bon Jovi. And poor guy, John can't sing anymore. He's got like his vocal problems started 30 years ago, and they've still been grinding out tours. Yeah, he fried him in like 1992, basically. But there was a point where they put out the Bon Jovi self-titled album, which was Runaway and some big hits. And then they had kind of a dud second album. But then they put out, I think Slippery When Wet came out, was their third album. But they still had, so you're at a concert in 1987, and there's like 10 absolute top of the charts bangers that you're there to go pay money for.
Right.
But they got another album coming out, and they've got some new stuff that's about to be hits, but people still, every time there's new music, is what I'm saying, is people get up and go to the bathroom because they don't want to hear new music, even though the new music might wind up being really popular at some point.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And if you are an up and coming or like you're starting to hit your prime, play your catalog. But what I'm saying is, if I put on the billboard, welcome back to the year 2000, then you're past your prime. Don't try new stuff.
Yeah.
Like go home, play it for the dog. That's awesome. But don't play it for the fans. The fans want to hear. And Dex is exactly right. If you're going to put multiple artists on stage, pace of performance is huge. Let's not act like you're back in your heyday, okay? Your heyday's over. That's gone. Play what people want.
Let's be snappy. Okay. All right. Old men yelling at clouds.
Pace of performance. Right. No, pace of performance is very important.
I mean, I was the youngest. I was the youngest person in this suite at our company suite at this show. I mean, it wasn't even close. I brought my sister, who's 10 years older than me, that loves Mary J. Blige. So like, I was the youngest person there, and even I was like, this is a little too long. Sunday night too. So it's just like, we got to be a little snappier. Got to be a little snappier.
Yeah, the Sunday night factor, definitely. If it's Friday night, Saturday night, whatever.
Yeah, go a little back. Sure.
If it's a school night, I don't know. All right, those are your statements and your questions. Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. Write that down, coming at you tomorrow. See you guys.